It's not a political statement to say things that exert a strong interest in holding people to an interest in the well-being of human beings that isn't being attended by any and all social systems. To say that, there can be something about your real mom that you lose, and she becomes something else to you over time. Something else you don't want your mom or dad. And then this beautiful connection is broken. Now the wonderful essence, it's not just you were a baby. There's profound sacred levels to the fact that you connect to this person, and that this person you're connecting to can sometimes not be that person, and not seem to know the kind of person you were hoping they knew you to be. I know you, you know me. I know you, I know me. I feel your spirit feels my spirit. We share food, we sit at the table, my spirit knows your spirit knows this spirit. In my dad reached up his hand one day and smacked me or punched me in this side of the face as I was sitting to his side at the dinner table. His spirit had not known my spirit anymore. His spirit, and I did not know that spirit who was sitting in place of my father. What is the spirit that did that got into him? The spirit of anger. And anger, what? Right? Anger is fine. Why was this anger focused on me? So that's my read. Let's go back. I'm glad I found that. Really thankful to Mother Nature. Thank you. Wow. Is it real quick? You don't want to do that. I'm trying to feel free. What can I do? In general, narcissism is, we're describing the capacity in human beings want things from us that they don't ask us for, and we may resent or rue having had to give them, even if it was a strategy to do so at the time, because to not do so would have placed us in a position of remaining too acutely sensible of some bad to say nothing about it. So, since your way of complaining about the imbalance you sense is to capitulate. This guy, Jay, for instance, is so nervous all the time that you just want to be polite to him, make sure he feels okay. Are you okay? It's like he's just a very nervous dude, right? And he's trying, I can see that. But at some point in his life, something made him extremely nervous. And so now he behaves in a narcissistic fashion because you have to give him a lot of extra attention. He doesn't communicate very well. You think he does. You think like, oh, okay. You just take it for granted that people know how to communicate. And it's very dramatic when you try to make arrangements with someone to meet somewhere, or you send them I sent this one native man any specific directions to how to find me, which end of town, what's around it, and he went in the completely opposite direction, and then blamed me for giving him bad directions. I didn't want to make him feel bad, but it's like I was very specific, you know, and he just assumed that I'd done something wrong. He couldn't really see, he couldn't reread it enough to see that I'd been, even when the time he found where it was, he's like, oh, I had to drive all the way out of my way. It's like, well, that was your mistake. You didn't read what I told you. Look at the school system, and they don't, I know it's one of the biggest problems when I tutor children, like math problems, when they don't read the problem. They don't see what's in front of them, and they don't accept that it could take work to understand what someone's saying. That's called studying. And you read a book or you listen to one of my videos, and it might be work to understand what I'm saying. That just happens in the realm of human communication. You don't always understand everything. You don't sit down to a lecture in some kind of philosophy and think, oh yeah, I get this. You don't sit there and go, well, I don't get it. You're obviously full of shit. You could be right, and you're allowed to feel that way. But I hope you're not responding to everything you don't understand as bullshit. You're going to have enough of an interest in learning from yourself, from what you deduce, and how you advance your own language and interests, and listening to what other people have to say. It is most of the most persuasive things that I ever listened to from human beings are violent. Those are the communications that really stick with me. They're violent. Now, nobody wants you to call them violent. The police don't want you to call them violent. That nobody who thinks they know anything wants to think that you can feel unsafe about these things, but you do. And the way people behave can make you feel unsafe a lot. And a lot of other people could say, hey, you know, you should be strong, you shouldn't feel unsafe about these things. And that's not necessarily the right way to go about things. Let's make sure I haven't lost my fucking vial again. It's like, oh, I lost the other one. Oh, I think I found my other glove. It's tied up with this other one. Huh, so I found something else today. It's a day of finding things. So that will be my path now, essentially. I'm just going to walk down here. That'll be my path, essentially. Oh, this one's pretty cool. And my path will be to understand these violent messages that people are giving me. People that I'm not close to, but people I'm familiar with or shot, and in this range of really very violent ways of behaving. I've seen this in different businesses. One person is like the really master violent person. Another person is their apologist, who could just as well witness the worst sexual assault of your life and have a reason why it happened. Have something that they think of as reasonable or a sacred story. This had to happen to you, and they might even tell you that it's happened before. or maybe it's never happened before, because either way it's clear that it has happened before. Right? I study human behavior. I can tell you when certain people, women in this case, are violent, it's never the first time. Never, never, never. Okay? It's habitual. It's how they assert dominion and territory. And it's violent. It's just how some people behave. Right? And it's not an asset, right, to any company, unless that company is used to accommodating such compulsions by placating the victims, by, putting them off, and losing along the way the ability to take a reasonable interest in what people have to say about how your group members make them feel. Because we like to give an amount of deference to not making people feel bad, even if it might be inconvenient for us that someone in our group feels bad about something. At least they can tell you, hey, that feels bad. Or you should know that that behavior does not feel good. And all of a sudden, as you get older, you'll see more and more that adults treating other adults, say, or other people, in a way that is clearly repugnant. But they get away with it. Things that should never be considered appropriate. Ways to speak to people or to address people I don't know how many times I've come into stores and be treated in an aggressive manner by someone who starts off on the wrong foot by not even saying hello, how are you, welcome. Whereas if you go up to a sales associate who's professional, you feel completely at ease right away. How can I help you? You know, they make it look easy. Yeah, cool. They're having a good time. They're happy to be there. They're enjoying their job. It's not a matter of territory. After all, they've invited you into their space for under a certain set of parameters so that you can feel comfortable looking for what you need. They're not following you around the store. They're not looking at you like you're the last person in the world they want to see. They're not glaring at you. They're not talking to you like they just want to get rid of you as quickly as possible, right? I went to look at this place to rent once on this island, and I knew that these people were a bit of slumlords, and I knew that the people they rented to were usually desperate for a place to live. And I went there to look around, and this self-confessed male Buddhist came out. And because I wasn't dedicated to renting the place, I was just browsing what was available on the island. He was extremely upset because he wasn't used to dealing with someone so self-important as to not absolutely need his rental. It wasn't a palace to me. I wasn't that tempted, given that I didn't need a place that badly. And it pissed him off because he wasn't accustomed to that. He was accustomed to people who really need a place to live. He was accustomed to a certain kind of dominance. Right? The fact that someone's a Buddhist doesn't mean anything, because Buddhism is nothing, which I suppose is the most Buddhist statement there is. Buddhism is nothing. It's nothing, ultimately. Even the Buddha himself would tell you, not that I believe in the Buddha, but it's like, it is nothing. You should put all your Buddhism away and just be. Nothing is that simple, but it's certainly you don't have a Buddhist. It's none of this stuff like to do with karma. It's basically a dog-eat-dog world. It's just different ways of putting the same bullshit. Some creepy rhetorical things that white people who are Buddhists will say to you. This one guy, he seemed like a friend. He was kind of a happy-go-lucky guy, but I knew there was something weird about him. And he took a bit of weed on the beach one day, and he said to me, "What has Buddhism ever asked from you?" And I thought about it, and I said, "I don't know, nothing." And he was so content with himself. Like, my religion has never asked anyone for anything. It is such a completely pure, generous, philosophical offering that I should just be thankful to that people have gone before me be a Buddhist. But Buddhism asks a lot, particularly of young boys, because they're monks or ass wranglers. While they're not becoming one with everything, they're becoming intoxicated by sticking their dick up little boys' asses because it doesn't violate their vows of chastity. What does Buddhism ask of me? To believe that it's a dog-eat-dog world. That if someone does something to you, it's just your own karma coming back to you, or if you do whatever they want to do with them, it's just their karma coming back to them. It's anyone's idea, the ping-pong of karma, about what belongs to whom. This Buddhist woman I knew was a sexual predator. She's like, I just have to give this back to them. I'm going to give this back to them. This is their problem. And it just remains insulated all of her life. You know? Just a different form of denial. Again, it has a reason, but it's not necessarily very pleasant to be around if you want to advance your relationships in the world. So I found my hat, I found my joint, and I found my glove all in one day. So that's a triple crown. Tell my mom I found that vial of weed. She's gonna really. Yeah, I walked back about a quarter, or maybe like half a K or a kilometer under the slog that I tried about 20 minutes ago. That's pretty cool. Oh, white lady staring at me. to give you that extra half second stare. It's 2 seagulls. 2 is the number of completion. Not part of your plan, right? And you don't need that from me. You don't need everyone to love everything you do. And everyone is going to be happy with being as great as you are. And I'm not. And I let you know why. Profusely. Okay? You don't owe me anything. You owe yourselves to improve your choices. You owe yourselves to make sure that you is everyone wants to be happy. To make sure your drivers are as professional as they are. Everybody else in the world is already behaving properly, but you're not. If I go to every bus system that I've been to in my life, and they have none of the problems that I should either, then I think it's possible for you. What does that make people feel inside? How people feel about how they're treated by their relatives, I don't want to think that people don't know what they need. And your experience centered around it. Becoming increasingly rough. You don't understand. You don't understand how to make mistakes. You've never been wrong there. That might not be okay. It's hard on the heart. And people that I've talked to that are people, my heart can't connect. I've been around people, kind of like I've been there, done that. I've been around so many different kinds of nice but deluded people living in denial. And white people usually, men and women. I can't do it. They're too obvious to me. I met this guy Jay, and he's just such a happy-go-lucky kind of ungrounded person. And who took years of his life to research buying a $5,000 scooter. And the first thing I said to my mom, and she said, really? Why would someone spend that much money on something that is basically just for going off-road, for the most part? And everywhere you need to go, you can walk. I mean, it's nice, but it's like, then you're not walking anymore. There's actually a Buddha in this guy's garden. Anyway, I feel nothing but anxiety thinking about this person because I know they're just going to suck energy from me. You have to protect yourself. That's why I'm walking different places now. As the weather's getting better, I'm going to start moving away from my winter walk and just trying some different things. So far, no real negative human interactions today. I've discovered my meaning. It's Monday. It's day 4 after some evil sucked in my house from the local bus services that I haven't even used for 2 years. So it gives you some idea of what kind of people you're dealing with. It's an instance of, someone yes, whether you think they're doing the right thing. It's incredible. It's like you don't have and the ability for cults, when you talk to them, to stay away from codependency. But yeah, I stopped using them. Most people around here don't use them. With all ages and income levels. Most people don't use the bus. The only people you see use people desperate enough to need the bus. And when people are supplied nothing but endless successions who don't have the time to complain about how you treat them, then you basically got a codependent ecosystem where negative behavior is being reinforced, negative reinforcement is being negatively reinforced, and the people in power, the bus drivers, are getting extremely habitual about the types of aggression they mete out to their customers. And they did this to me a number of times. And it's just aggression. It's not really necessary. It's just how they happen to feel at the moment, about life and you. Such as you've made an unwarranted demand of their services by standing at a bus stop where they may or may not stop. They may or may not stop next time, according to them, and so on and so on. Where you've seen children left standing in broad daylight who have no way to get home but to beg strangers for rides. Because the last bus leaving a town in broad daylight goes across 3 townships, has been sitting there picking his bum for 15 minutes, but can't trouble himself to turn his neck 15 to 20 degrees at the major bus stop in town and see that 4 or 5 people are standing there waving their arms. That's just more than a little problem. That's a catastrophic and systemic error. You would think that the central processor of a computer controlling all bus drivers in the area had some kind of serious malfunction. In fact, a computer could do better. You could train a baboon to do better than that. Because the baboon would be enthusiastic. Be like, whoa, I got a job. I love this. You could train a yellow lab to do that because they'd be enthusiastic about doing it. But the drivers are not enthusiastic. Okay? They're slumped in their seats. But even over isn't that cool? Hello. modest house versus an elaborate architectural monstrosity. Or apparently it's a real estate sort of house, so they put 4 different designs into the same house. I don't think anybody lives there. I don't think anyone lives there. And most of the time, I don't think anyone lives in most of these places. They just sit there gathering tax money for the local fiefdom, local feudal fiefdom. And it is, all of these places are making money, kind of for the owners in terms of appreciation, but they're also falling apart. So let's say your house appreciates by, $20,000 in 5 years, and you've got to spend that amount of money to fix the roof, or dig a new septic tank, or fix a flood, or a termite infestation, or bring something up to code. And you've got property taxes, It's quite a racket. And if you're paying a mortgage, of course, you're paying on top of that. And then, and whatnot. And it's not even worth it at the end of the day. But it's getting its taxes. The bank, which owns the township, is getting its money. So it's getting a mortgage. It's getting from your property taxes. This is the banking political system, the financial system of God. So God's getting money. God's getting monthly tributes of $1,000 from all of these plots of land from these owners, because they don't own the house so much as they. It's not like you have nothing, because that would be stupid, right? If it's of no value to you, that'd be stupid, right? But they're sucking out of you, and it's in many cases not worth it. Unless you're willing to put a lot of work into it, and taking it out from the local taxes, the national taxes, the provincial taxes, levies, licenses, fees, and then of course the vicissitudes of the economic system, inflation, the inevitable lowering of the value of everything you bought, unless you put more into it. Real estate is considered safe in that there's to be expected some appreciation, but only if you let more and more developments and speculation come in to raise the cost of living more and more for the people who can least afford it, but are the ones wiping your fucking toilets and making your fucking your wingets, and doing your accounting, and making your coffee, and laying your roads, and all the hardworking people that become kind of your feudal peasants that are going to pay for the unfortunate costs of your real estate adventure. So in order to make money, you have to participate in making other people's lives more difficult. And I knew this woman who was a sexual predator, and I lived in her house for a while. And her friends were sexual predators. They all had professions, psychology, medicine, and she sexually assaulted me a couple times. They don't know what they're doing. I mean, they're psychologists, right? You don't expect them. And they're spiritual female white psychologists who are always overweight and always trying to lose weight. They're never going to. They don't really want to, because that would be an emotion, not just a physical change. And they have to start crapping more than they eat. They eat, right, and more good proteins. And all those balances would come naturally if they could and had more volition in restoring certain aspects of their life by their own choice. But I keep my life as healthy as I can. I have to confront anything and everything. If I'm confronting something about this or that, I'm confronting a million other things as well. I got up at 2 a.m. and I wrote a beautiful essay on the computer, and the last few days I've been able to put things into words that I've been hoping I could. After all the months of walking, eventually put certain things into words, and it's kind of happening. And that's what you do. You wait. It happens. Until you just, I sat there thinking that, I'll leave it. I thought about it, so, I'll leave it. I'll leave it. Wait until I really, and then eventually you're just like, okay, now it's time. So that's good. because the animal should hide. Yeah. It's interesting. I like hiking with my mom sometimes. I'd also like to meet a woman with whom I could walk around and we can really analyze people. Because I love to tell someone how people feel to me. And they don't feel good and they feel good. And I can tell you, everybody, that feels good, that doesn't feel good. And the clearest way to get to know me on a certain level is to listen to who does and does not feel good to me, right? This person is this way, this person is this way. I mean, I don't really see or encounter a lot of people, as you might guess, whom I feel really 100% peachy keen about. And who in many respects probably feel particularly peachy keen about me. You know? I'm not happy-go-lucky in that way. And, you meet people in the first instant, I already know how things are going to pan out with them. Like this happy-go-lucky guy, Jay, the first time I met him, I was like, oh, that guy's way too friendly. He's way too disarming. It's like, you can't go anywhere with this guy. He's enforcing a certain order of communication that's never going to allow anything to be really grounded. And so he's living above the ground. And he smokes cigarettes, and I'm not really a big fan of that. But I understand that cigarettes can be grounding if you're grounded. There are people who can smoke, people like me who shouldn't, because I find I don't really, I want to be grounded. I get addicted to it because I think the cigarette smoke, the tobacco at least is going to ground me. I can smoke pure tobacco a little bit, but I don't really like it. I'd rather smoke it with somebody or share it with somebody. But cigarettes, as they're commonly sold, don't really do anything for me, but I get addicted to them because I think, I'll feel calm after I smoke a cigarette. And, I feel nervous. I'm a nervy person. I feel nervous enough that I'm a prime candidate for cigarette smoking because you think it's going to calm your nerves. I could eat Ativan every day just to let my heart, because, um, you know, for me, I can go someplace I've shot for 12 years and get sexually assaulted in public one day. And it's like, it was telegraphing itself because I was getting nervous and nervous and nervous. And it's like, I came in one day and I told the manager, I'm really nervous coming to the store because of such and such. And he's like, I haven't seen any hostility. As though he sees all and as though whatever you're seeing doesn't matter. And there's other, things I've already mentioned